I think J.J. McCarthy is that guy. Again, Cade McNamara has done nothing at all. Which player can turn water into wine? That is J.J. McCarthy.
Right.
Would Cade have fumbled that ball? Maybe, maybe not.
I don't call that a choke, though. People are calling it a choke.
Yeah.
The guy's in for 10 plays, maybe. How is that a choke? He's not even really in the game.
J.J. McCarthy going to lead the University of Michigan when it is announced week 3.
Wow.
So we're talking about this University of Michigan quarterback situation. Taking some quotes from Angelique Shingalis's column in the Detroit News yesterday. Jim Harbaugh was on with John Jansen on the In the Trenches in-house Michigan podcast. Just some of the quotes from Harbaugh. After week 2, we'll make a decision going into week 3. Starter, backup. Both quarterbacks have played great, done everything they could in every way to win the starting job. We have 2 quarterbacks we feel very confident we can win a championship with. Either one of those 2 quarterbacks behind center, great thing for our team, but there's only one ball. We're not ready to say who that starting quarterback is yet. Harbaugh was asked by Jansen how he has evaluated the quarterbacks during camp. Here's the quote. Them being able to be a passer. By passer, arm talent. Who can make all the throws? Both of them have the arm talent to make all the throws, and it comes down to accuracy, timing, and decision making. Taking what the defense gives you as a passer. Cade's a little ahead at this point. The next category is playmaker. The guy that can turn water into wine, uses athleticism, his speed, arm talent, runner, scrambler, plays smart, makes a play when there's no play to be made, and his running ability, moves the chains as a runner, augments the running game. With a risk-reward, turn a 1-yard loss into a positive play, but doesn't make the bad play worse. Avoids the fumbles, the interceptions, the sacks. I have JJ ahead in that category, and it goes on for more than that. Which player can turn water into wine? That is JJ McCarthy.
Right.
That is why this is such a struggle, because again, Cade McNamara has done nothing at all to lose this job, and he has essentially been passed by. In my opinion, I think J.J. McCarthy is that guy. So,
although you haven't seen him yet in action.
I have seen him in action.
No, in reality, against a real team for a full 4 quarters.
He has not been given that opportunity yet.
So how do we know?
The reason why I feel I know is because I saw him in games do things that Cade McNamara is not able to do. He is able to be the scrambler. He is able to turn water into wine, use his athleticism, his speed, his arm talent to turn a 1-yard loss into a positive play. Remember the touchdown was to Ronnie Bell last year in week 1?
Across the field. That's what I brought up against Western.
You can't teach that.
No. But that ain't going to always happen. And that's against Western Michigan. Not take nothing away from the Broncos, but they are not a national title contender. I want to bring something up to you. I want to bring the 49ers up to you.
Yeah.
This, I think, is an identical comparison to what the Michigan Wolverines are going through. Jimmy G is Cade McNamara. Trey Lance is J.J. McCarthy. And Kyle Shanahan staked his reputation and traded 3 number 1 picks to draft Trey Lance. And he is the starting quarterback of a 49ers team that was this close to going to the Super Bowl last year with Jimmy Garoppolo. And he has scrapped it and is giving the keys to Trey Lance. And Jimmy Garoppolo is looking for a new team. By tomorrow, he will not be a 49er anymore. Do you think that's a good comparison?
It's a great comparison, and let me respond by this way. I forgot who it was, but we had talked about this. Remember that Buffalo-Kansas City playoff game?
Hell yeah. How do you forget?
It was probably one of the greatest games these two eyes have ever seen live. I'd never seen anything like that.
No.
Not I wasn't there, but just watching.
You won't ever get a game like that.
Can't imagine that.
A playoff game.
At that point, it was somebody, I forgot who it was, and I would give you credit if I remembered who said it. Maybe you do. But he said, every general manager and head coach now.
Pelissero.
Was it Tom Pelissero?
Mm-hmm.
After watching this game, every general manager and head coach has to look themselves in the mirror and look at their own teams and say, do I have a guy that can compete with that? Can I have a guy that can play in that game?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, you have to seek one out.
Correct.
And so I'll bring that conversation to the Michigan Wolverines. Can Cade McNamara play in a 56-54 Ohio State shootout? Or in an Alabama just crazy wild game?
I don't know.
Or in a Georgia game? I would say no. Can J.J. McCarthy? My answer to that question is yes. I think he can. And if he can't play in that game, I think he would do a better job in a game like that than Cade McNamara. And I think that just answers all your questions regarding who the quarterback should be on this team. And I don't think we're going to learn a lot in the first 2 weeks. Because, again, I think both guys are going to throw for 4 or 5 touchdowns, do everything they can, look the part, and then it's just going to have to come down to a decision, which guy do you think can lead you to a Big Ten championship and ultimately a playoff win in a national championship?
Would you say Jim Harbaugh right now is playing with house money? Because he got his championship last year. He got his Big Ten finally he got it.
No. I do not think that Jim Harbaugh is playing with house money. In fact,
so then he's rolling the dice.
I think you absolutely have to double down here and back up what you did a year ago. Because for many people, I don't think it's good enough. What happened last year, the standard at Michigan now is set. We've seen it. You can compete with Ohio State. You can beat Ohio State. And you can go to the college football playoff. That is the floor, I think, for Michigan fans. And by the way, every big-time team should have that level of expectation. I think if you're sitting in East Lansing right now, your expectation should be beat your rivals, win the Big Ten championship, and make it to the college football playoff. I don't think that is some outlandish statement to make. That if you're a Big Ten or if you're a big-time college football program, which I think Michigan and Michigan State both believe they are, that should be your expectation for the season every year.
MSU did what they wanted to do last year against Michigan, but then they fall on their faces against Purdue, and they got completely whitewashed against Ohio State. If Mel Tucker is Tuck coming, he's got to get those two things taken care of immediately. You cannot fall to a Purdue when you beat a Michigan, and you cannot no-show against an Ohio State team. Those are the things that you want to be thinking about on the Michigan State side. Michigan, I think, is a lot closer to repeating than Michigan State is to coming back and winning that Big Ten.
But again, and so many people will point to last year. Jesse Adams writes, but JJ fumbled twice against Michigan State last year. I think you are allowed to make some mistakes as a freshman, and those were some big mistakes. And whether or not, I believe Jim Harbaugh put that fumble to Blake Corum on Blake Corum and not JJ. Would Cade have fumbled that ball? Maybe, maybe not.
I don't call that a choke, though. People are calling it a choke. Yeah. The guy's in for 10 plays, maybe.
Yeah.
5 plays. How is that a choke? He's not even really in the game.
And again, I think you're allowed some growing pains too. You know, you're not going to be playing it. I hope J.J. McCarthy is better than he was a year ago. Wouldn't you hope? Being in the system for an entire year, I would hope that that's the case.
But he did have shoulder fatigue, which worried me. But I think, is he at 100% right now?
That's what they say. That's what I go by.
What happened? I mean, how does that happen?
I don't know anything about that.
How does that
Can
happen?
he play now? That's all that I care about. But that's why he sat out in spring ball.
Right.
But he's back with fall camp. I don't know. I think this is a hard one emotionally. I think this is an easy one on the field. Which quarterback can turn water into wine on the field? Which quarterback can turn a 1-yard loss into a positive play? Which quarterback could go toe-to-toe with some of these upper echelon defenses in college football, or some of these upper echelon offenses? Because it's not so much to beat the defense anymore. Now, I know Georgia's defense was something unlike we've ever seen last year with essentially 6 first-round draft picks. But you've got to keep up with other offenses.
Yeah.
forget about you going up against the defenses. Your offense has to be able to be as explosive and score points as quickly as other offenses do in college football. I'm excited for this season. I'm excited for J.J. McCarthy. I emotionally hurt for Cade McNamara, but I think this is a simple one. J.J. McCarthy going to lead the University of Michigan when it is announced week 3 who starts.
We will find
and
out.
Who backs up.